2, 1. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I am your host, Justin Stoddart, and I am really excited about today's episode that is going to open up for you as a real estate agent additional ways to add value to your clients, even additional ways where you can be doing more deals than you're currently doing with the knowledge that we're going to be sharing with you today all about the lending space, specifically from the credit union world. So before I get into announcing today's guest, I want to remind you that the purpose of this show is to help you think bigger. That's why it's called the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. As you start to think bigger, your activities start to change. You start to do more because you believe that more is possible. And as you do more, we all know what happens is you start to get the results that you want. And then it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. You start to then think bigger and do even more activities and get even better results. And it gets really exciting. My mission and passion is to help you do that. So if that's of interest to you, then you're in the right place. Let me now spend just a minute to introduce today's guest. His name is Mark Ritter. Something that you won't see on his bio is that he was actually helped the coaching staff of Penn State University back in 1994 when they were in the Rose Bowl, beating handily my Oregon Ducks. So I won't hold that against him. He actually showed the picture to prove it. And I was a fun game, but kind of fun little connection that he and I have. I won't hold any grievances or grudges, despite what he did at that time of his life. Since that time, he's gone on to do some great things in the credit union space. He's currently the CEO of MBFS, Member Business Financial Services. We're going to talk all about what that is. And more specifically, we're going to talk about how credit unions can be a really great source for you to get deals and to get deals done that you might not be able to get through other means. So with that being said, Mark, thank you for coming on the show today. Really excited to have you here. And let's delve in, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Let's do it.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about your background. What led you, Mark, to this point where you're the CEO really of a national organization that gives credit unions great lending options? How did this come about?
Sure. I've always enjoyed the lending space, and I've been involved in credit unions for about 20 years. And I was looking for that feeling, that nice feeling, the community feeling, and I stumbled into these opportunities of working with a credit union and starting up a business lending program back when this was the Wild West and hardly anybody ever heard of a credit union helping out people for real estate investments and working with agents. And over a 10-year period, we built an organization from zero to one of the biggest in the country for funding real estate loans and real estate investments and building programs and working with other real estate agencies and bringing people together. And from then, I hopped into what's called a CUSO, which is a credit union service organization. And MBFS now is a company that's owned by credit unions, and we provide the sales, the marketing, the back office support for all sorts of credit unions, over 70 credit unions all throughout the country, in helping them provide the financing they need to their membership. And we do that by providing back office support. But rather than somebody going out and shopping 70 different credit unions, we match them up with one of our lenders and put together the best deal for them.
Interesting. So you guys then act almost as a broker, almost like a mortgage broker, but to credit unions. Is that what I understand? Is that how you're set up?
Yeah, a little bit broker. Think of the brokerage without the incentives of our incentive is to the customer and to the credit union, since we're owned by credit unions for credit unions, to help them build economies of scale. A simple think of instead of all these credit unions hiring back office people and mortgage systems and buying and building, we've done all that so people can get the financing from credit unions cheaper than the credit unions could do it themselves. So.
Why do you think, Mark, it is, and this is really to dispel maybe some of the myths, why do you think real estate agents, maybe their first approach isn't always to encourage their agents to get financing through a credit union, but maybe their approach is to go directly to a traditional mortgage loan officer? Yeah, go ahead.
part of it is the fear of the unknown and not maybe understanding what a credit union is or how it evolved today into what it is. My father, when he was in the union as an electrician, was a member of a credit union, and it was for the people in that union, and they basically maybe had a checking account and a savings account, and that was it. But today's credit unions are very sophisticated institutions who can bring a lot of opportunities to real estate agents and real estate investors, but they don't have those barriers from the past. Many credit unions are wide open, and they can offer a lot of solutions. We deal with really small deals, and we deal with deals above $15-20 million and everything in between. So 100 million people in America belong to credit unions. So when you think about wanting to leverage relationships, and credit unions are such a friendly, nobody's out there on the street protesting against their local credit unions. It's an approachable institution. So, but half of my job is getting people that step in the door. When you talk about what you like in a financial institution, it's approachable, it's relationship based, and that's what a credit union is.
I love it. It's interesting. We actually, as you probably know, I work, my day job is I work for Old Republic Title Company. We hired somebody that worked at a credit union, and she was talent. I don't think the credit union was very happy with us. But it was interesting, her perspective, and it's one that I didn't have on the credit union world, about just what you're talking about how really kind of that down-to-earth, friendly feel, come on in and we'll take care of all of your financial needs, both as a, kind of a, like not only a lending institution, but just like a banking institution, right? To where there's people tend to do business where they have familiarity, where they're comfortable, where they've got relationships. And I think credit unions do a really good job of taking care of people and cross-selling, in the sense that they're taking care of more concerns that their clients have, without having those clients have to go out and try and find some new relationship that they can trust. And I think that, there is a lot of strength and value in that for the consumer.
If I always joke that if I went back to a bank, I'd probably get fired in about a week, because I tend to look at things on a relationship based, and what can I do that's a win-win for both of us. And I don't have those pressures hanging over me to meet the quarterly share numbers, quarterly earnings numbers to keep it moving. So, I mean, I have a lot of my credit unions have relationships with the local real estate agents, just because there's a huge number of people, when they're thinking about buying a house and they're thinking about moving, the first thing they do is call their credit union to get pre-qualified and talk through the process and who can I deal with. So it's a tremendous source of opportunities.
Well, I think what you've identified there is something that I think every real estate agent that's listening to this needs to perk up and realize, is that you guys have a captive audience. You have clients that, because they've dealt with the credit union for years and years, there's deep relationships of trust. Anytime they think of anything money, they think of the credit union. And so there are people that are going to go to the credit union first. And because real estate agents tend to overlook that arm and don't send business that way, they aren't then aligning themselves in a spot where they can then be a recipient of those referrals. This counterpart of mine that I work for, she said, on any given day, they would have sometimes 5 to 7. And this is a small branch on the west side of town, but sometimes 5 to 7 applications a day. And I thought, like, those are people that are actively looking to buy and sell, or buy a home, potentially sell a home in addition to that. And I said, what agents were they using? And she said, oftentimes they didn't know. And I thought, what a huge opportunity for a real estate agent to be proactive and go in and actually listen to the programs that you're describing, Mark, that are there, both for traditional financing as well as investment opportunities, investor opportunities, and go in and see what products would maybe backfill some of the gaps and holes and voids that their current lending relationships can't take care of, and start sending business that way. And I think you'll find that by building a relationship in a relationship atmosphere like a credit union, you're going to find that there's business to be had there, that making the right relationships with the right people. Those credit unions are oftentimes upstream. And those of you that know me know that I'm publishing a book called The Upstream Model, which is all about who out there knows that a real estate transaction is going to happen before they talk to a realtor. Guess what, guys? credit union is very much upstream. People are going in and getting pre-qualified before they go talk to a realtor. Now they might be perusing online, but they haven't chosen anybody yet. And so I think it's important for agents to recognize that there is opportunity to get, but again, the only way that you can truly get and have it be sustainable is to start to give and to go learn from these credit unions what it is that they have to offer, start to send some business that way, and then see what happens from a relationship standpoint.
Exactly. There'll always be that 10, 15% of people at the very top who can get whatever they want, when they want, just by one phone call. And there's always those people at the bottom that, I'm sorry, we can't help. It just doesn't fit what we can do as a regulated financial. But there's this large group in the middle that's just middle America that what they want is a conversation. And they want somebody they can trust. They want a warm handoff. They want a warm referral. And we find the same thing when I deal with real estate investors, is people want a conversation and they want a relationship. If the only thing you're going to do is waive the cheapest fees, if the only thing you're going to do is waive the cheapest rates, that's a losing game at some point. But if you provide great service and good relationships and you care about the community and what you do, and you're there for the long term, it's a winning formula. And it really is that values of the credit union of industry that's how we do things.
Well, and I love what you said too earlier, that when you're going head to head with big banks that have to meet quarterly reports and measures, that sometimes the best interest, as we've seen from some large national banks, I won't mention any in particular, that have gone about somewhat recklessly to drive numbers in order to get the results for shareholders that make stocks go up. And it's interesting to hear that you're right, a community credit union is not set up that way, right? And of course, there's shareholders and there's interested parties, and the concept is to grow the business. But I also believe that there's probably not the same outside pressures that maybe exist, which allow them to, again, have a longer term perspective on relationships and doing what's great for the customer all the time, as opposed to just when it highly benefits the lending institution themselves.
Exactly. And a big change that has gone on in the past 10 to 15 years is the openness in terms of the ability to go in and open an account. And some people still think, oh, if only I have to belong, I'm not a teacher in this school district, I have to belong to here. But in Oregon, there's some great credit unions where if you're driving by and see it, there's probably a 95% chance you can go in and open that account. Yeah. And many people, for example, we work with 70 credit unions. There's companies like me that work with credit unions for real estate investors and also people for mortgages. So if you don't want to go and shop each individual one, or maybe you're not sure where to go, many times people contact us and we try to match them up with a local credit union wherever you're at. There's a company similar to mine in Portland, Oregon, that's one of the biggest and best in the country that loves to help people match them up with a local credit union.
Very cool. Marco, I appreciate that offer. That's really compelling, again, where you're trying to decide, okay, which one do we go to? And yeah, just the burden of having to go and start the conversation and compare stuff. I've been in that situation and it's not very fun. How would people get in contact with your company if they were in that spot, or if a realtor wanted to begin to maybe add value to a credit union and they wanted to know which ones they felt like had the programs that would best serve their clients, kind of their specific area? How would they contact you?
Sure. We're very active on LinkedIn. It seems like most realtors. It's Mark Ritter on LinkedIn, and Member Business Financial Services on LinkedIn. Our website is mbfs.org. mbfs.org. And we have a pretty strong presence throughout the country. And if we don't have a friend locally to you, we'll make some phone calls and help you out and get you with somebody who can.
It's great stuff, Mark. Hey, I want to kind of end here with our signature question of the show, which is, you're obviously a big thinker, CEO of a nationwide company, done some great things. tell me, what is a guy like you who is a big thinker? What do you do to continue to be that way, to continue to expand your own possibilities? Teach us.
Yeah, we really focus on relationships first, and every day just doing one thing a little bit better. We don't shoot for the home run and how we're going to change the company today. We just do what every day you either get better or worse, and that incremental improvement, and don't let perfection stand in the way of progress. And that's where we when it comes to managing our employees, what can we do for incremental improvement? And the next thing you know, you've added up to quite a bit. The other piece we do is focus on relationships. How can we solve problems for our clients and our clients' clients? What's the pain point people are having, and just attack that with full vigor.
So when you're looking at your day and you've got obviously a bunch of tasks that are already coming your way, you've got a number of responsibilities. Is there a certain practice when you say we want to get better every day, we want to make progress, we're not focused on perfection, we're focused on progress? Is there some way that you found to chunk that down, to kind of organize or prioritize what do we need to work on? What are we going to work on to be sure that we're better today than we were yesterday?
And we always strategize. First thing in the morning is, what's that A priority that we have to get done? That's when we have those meetings, is first thing in the morning. That's when we work on projects, is first thing in the morning, and really get done what we absolutely have to get done first, then be more reactive in our day. Then work on my emails and what we have priorities, and the messages and relationships. So
I was just talking with my assistant, who's fabulous, by the way, and we were talking about how later in the day, how easy it is to indulge in poor eating habits, right? The chocolates and everything come out at the end of the day. And it was this concept of, each of us have a reservoir of willpower. At the beginning of the day, that reservoir is full. You get to the end of the day and it's not so full. So I love what you said there of actually prioritizing early in the day to say, how am I going to be proactive and improve things early? Because by the time I get to the end of the day, it's going to be all reactive. And right, my self-discipline to actually put mental thought and effort into improving something likely won't be there at that point.
And folks like us, we have a family, we have a life. Usually my wife is saying, what do we need to do? What activities do the kids have? Where my focus is, okay, now I need to go my second job and make sure everything's taken care of with the family.
Yeah, which is the best job, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Mark, it's been a total pleasure to have you on the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I appreciate you helping us to think bigger, think differently, even about like some of the relationships that real estate agents have, and maybe a big missed opportunity when it comes to realizing the value both for their clients as well as for their own business streams, which is that of credit unions. So thank you for what you do in the real estate industry. I appreciate you, and it's been a total pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. My final request of everybody listening here today, 3 simple words, and they are go, think bigger. Thank you again, Mark, for helping us do that today.
Thank you.